My illness started about 10 years ago. It started with a rather irksome dry cough, and it got progressively worse. It was dry cough, and then it was shortness of breath, fatigue, and a lot of weight loss. I went to 3 different hospitals in search of what might be the issue, unfortunately to no avail. I finally ended up going to National Jewish Health in Denver, Colorado, where I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed then that it was hypersensitivity pneumonitis. By the time I got there, I was quite ill and had less than 20% capacity between my 2 lungs. It was pretty clear that I needed a lung transplant, but they weren't even sure that I could actually get one that late in the stage. I came back home and started working with the Brigham Women's Hospital where I wanted to be transplanted, and they were nothing shy of amazing with getting me through that process.
So pulmonary fibrosis is an end-stage lung disease that can develop from multiple different initial etiologies, some of which have effective treatments and some of which do not. But by the time you reach end-stage pulmonary fibrosis, there's often very little we can do medically to either cure or control the disease. And when we met Laurie, she really was advanced in her fibrosis with limited options. And so we needed to, determine the cause of the disease and if there were any potential medical therapies, but also expedite her transplant evaluation and the other aspects of her care because of how sick she was.
When they diagnosed me, it was still under the guise that I had hypersensitivity pneumonitis, unknown origin, environmentally an environmental condition, presumably. It wasn't until I was going through the workup to be able to become listed that they determined that I had a genetic condition. And the genetic condition is short telomere syndrome.
So telomeres are like the caps on your shoelaces, those little plastic caps that prevent the shoelaces from fraying. If those telomeres shorten, then the DNA is susceptible to changes that could lead to poor outcomes. So patients who have short telomere syndrome can have bone marrow abnormalities, they can have liver dysfunction as well as fibrosis. That presented a unique set of challenges, but we're lucky in that we have a very integrated multidisciplinary interstitial lung disease team that includes representatives from pulmonary, rheumatology, radiology, pathology, all of whom were invaluable in assessing her lung disease and the cause of it. And then also we're very lucky to have this specialized pulmonary genetics center, which is relatively rare in the country, to help us determine if there was a genetic component to her disease and also what implications that might have to transplant.
I received my letter. I was now listed. That was on Christmas Eve, an incredible gift back in 2013. It was shortly thereafter, approximately 2 weeks, that I had become very, very ill. They call it falling off the cliff, when your body just no longer can sustain. That happened to me on or about January 17th. I ended up coming into the Brigham at that point in time and actually didn't come back out until after I was transplanted.
Laurie required extracorporeal membranous oxygenation, or ECMO, which is a mechanism of mechanical circulatory support that we utilize when mechanical ventilation or a breathing machine is not adequate to support a patient. So Laurie's condition deteriorated so rapidly and to such a degree that standard ventilatory support was not enough for her. So we had to rapidly engage the mechanical circulatory support team to put her on ECMO.
That night, or within a day, a set of lungs came in that were a perfect match for me. And they, after a lot of conversation, decided to give them to me. And for that, I'm very, very indebted. I feel great. I feel really very fortunate, actually. And I'm excited. I have an opportunity now to give back and feel like I'm doing so. I'm active with a lot of folks on a one-on-one basis that have pulmonary fibrosis, helping them to get through, but also being involved with the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation, helping folks avoid the pitfalls of 7 years before being diagnosed, helping them get diagnosed early and treated early, and being able to direct them to the Brigham where they can get the type of care and attention that I had.